Good evening, everyone. Um, man, it's been a rough couple of weeks. Hey, Pia. We're gonna kind of let everybody kind of funnel in here before we kind of really start. But thanks to everybody that was at ISC this past weekend. Came out, hang out with us. It was a lot of fun. Um, Nothing really crazy happened, at least not that I'm aware of. Besides the fact that it was always great to see it's great to see everybody before the season actually kicks off and all of that, but it's a lot of fun to actually see people chase around Greg Blanchard. That was a lot of fun. Guys are just trying to there's a fan line waiting for Greg. So that's always fun to watch. Just watch guys come and get Greg's signature and take pictures of Greg. That's a lot of fun. Um Topic of tonight. Yeah, once again, anybody can join in. If anybody would like to join in, let me know. I'll send you the link, or if not, ask your questions away in the comments. But topic of tonight, I feel like it's something that hasn't it's been brought up, and I really don't mean to really pick on anybody here, but it was brought up during the off season on one of the Yak and Bass pages, and it was one of those deals where I wanted to kind of touch on tonight, very very simply because I feel like it's one of those deals where it's something that's not really said because nobody really sees it as a beginner's level of competition. How you doing, Simon? Um, and so because of that, I feel like the I should at least address it in a way, as in kind of I didn't want to reply to this because I wasn't sure how to reply and not sound like a bad person. In other words, there's at the end of the day, it's still a tournament fishing. But to set the basis, essentially the question was, sorry to pick on you, Scott. This is your question. I don't. If you're out there listening, Scott, I don't mean to pick on you. It's just the question was brought up, so I feel like I give it my 2 cents. But essentially, the question is for the newer tournament anglers, as in the newer tournament angler for the kayak field out here in the West. It's not so much for I typically cover the kayak side, as in I don't do the tournament winners. We don't have the tournament winners on in our community whole podcast platform, but we're kayak tournament anglers. So I feel like I should at least address it in a sense. The question is, as a newer tournament angler from Scott, you know, he's wondering why there aren't levels to the tournaments. And this was posted on the Yakabas page. And so we'll bring Sean in here as well. How you doing, Sean?
What's up, Max?
Well, I was reading the question and Sean just kind of popped on, so I added Sean here. So we'll reiterate the question here.
Really, a little dark. There you
go. You look great without the hat, sir. You suck here.
Oh, we're going with that Greg look, no hat.
yeah. But so the small topic I kind of wanted to talk about, sir, is essentially Scott. No love connections. Enough single guys have that figured out. But essentially, I'm pretty sure you've seen this post by Scott on the Yakabas page, where he was asking about why aren't there levels in like the Yakabas tournament scene where there's the beginner guys can compete against the beginner guys so they don't lose confidence, right? Yeah, you see that question. So that's kind of that's why I wanted to chime in on it. I never got a chance to comment on it because I didn't really want to comment and sound like a dick, basically. That's why I didn't want to comment. It could be misrepresented. And so the reason why there isn't any levels in the Yakabass, well, now there is, I should say. Now there is levels in the Yakabass um, tournament trail series. Not only that, but you also have BAM now, which is considered your more competitive, trail, if you want to call it that. There's no qualifications, of course, but it's still a more competitive, higher buy-in, so on and so forth. It becomes a little bit more competitive. Um, but Bass is essentially a beginner level, entry level trail. Is
Yeah.
essentially what Yakabass is. Not. It just so happens that everybody wants to fish Yakabass. It's
Yeah.
just what it really is. It's not because Yakabass is a high level tier or high, extremely competitive field or trail series. That's
Mhm.
not what it's ever meant to be. Yakabass is still just your entry level, base level where anybody can go and go fish a tournament. So it's kind of the start. There is no lower level than Yakabass. Not because Yakabass is not because it's not a competitive field. It's just that's the baseline, as in this is to get guys into it.
Right.
So, I've been thinking about it. I've been listening to other shows. There's a great one now, Alpha Angler or Alpha Basscast. Jake Boomer and Brian Smith. They just recently launched that one just last year. But it brought the thought into me where a lot of Kai guys don't know that. As in, a lot of the newer Kai guys don't know that Yakabass is essentially your entry level, and then you go on to say like fish Bam, or say fish Yakabass Gamblers, or say fish, the one Bassmaster event that will have the qualifier.
Yeah.
A lot of the Kai tournament scene is still very entry level stuff.
Right.
Not like the bass boat side where you have a qualification side or a qualification set of anglers. You have to reach so amount of dollars one before you qualify to fish that trail. Future Pro Tour, for example. Uh, Boat guys will know. Sorry, Kai guys, you probably won't know. But your Bassmaster Elite levels, the Bass Opens is essentially an entry level. The Elites is what you qualify through the Opens to go fish. So essentially, anybody can sign up to go fish the Opens. Is kind of what it works out to be, as long as you have the money to go fish the Opens. That being said, I'm sorry, and I hate to discourage everybody that's fishing the Yakabass trail. Unfortunately, a lot of the, what I guess you would say, more advanced anglers or more competitive anglers are going to continue to fish it simply because they're tournament junkies. That's simply what it is. They're gonna go fish the BAM tour, the BAM kayak side ran by Michael Gray. They're gonna go fish the Gambler series. They're gonna fish the Yakabass team series. They're gonna fish all of the kayak events for the guys that want to kayak tournament fish in California. That's just unavoidable. So you can't avoid. Unfortunately, you can't avoid those guys until they decide to move on and they stop fishing the Yakabass series. And that's just that's an attestament to how good of a kayak trail Yakabass is when
Right.
you have anglers that wish to return back and fish the Yakabass trail, even though they don't have to anymore. And what I mean by they don't have to anymore is there's options for them to go fish the Gambler series, a higher payout series, or say even like now, the BAM kayak series, where there's more exposure for them that, for the guys that wish to pursue it, have that more professional experience, you know. So what are your thoughts, Sean? That was kind of my little rant because I just feel like there's people know, but then people don't really say it because I feel like almost everybody just assumes that you already know, and it's one of those deals where the newer guys that are essentially extremely new to tournament fishing or kayak tournament fishing, they're just gonna be like, I can't compete against these guys. These guys. You have Damian Tao out there, you have Greg Blanchard out there, you have AOI 2024. You have Robert Yamamoto that's winning AOIs, drop shotting everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I mean, to go from of course it's kind of like the grassroots of kayak bass fishing out west is yak bass been around for a while. It's always been entry level, low entry kind of deal. Then James tried branching out with Gambler Series, and there's been other stuff that's kind of come and gone, and there's still small little clubs throughout the West as well. But I mean, it's real hard to compare kayaks to boaters because boaters are all over the place. You got small local clubs, which will still be inexpensive, and you get some guys that are like just straight guides and stuff that fish club tournaments still. And there's a variety of series. Then we've seen bass tournament series come and go in the West, but it's a real tough one. Like honestly, I like yak bass because the best kayak fishermen, in my opinion, in the West, in our area, Northern Central California, have all came through yak bass at one time or another.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good guys that, continue to keep coming back. And honestly, I'd rather compete against, 100 or 130 guys than, in my opinion, than going against, 20, 30 guys paying, $250 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. If I had the money, I would fish every kayak tournament possible. If I had the money and time, I would definitely do that. Like you said, there's tournament junkies. I like to compete, at whatever level, but there's not really a division for that saying who could fish it, who can't. I know in some of the amateur stuff on the boater side, at least for like Future Pro Tour, stuff like that, they go by the amount of money you made, which can make sense or it can't. They say like between like a season or whatever, but what if you fished the native tournament and you got first place and you got big bass, hour a couple times, then you take into account the kayak you won probably, then all of a sudden you won, $8 grand more. Okay.
Yeah, you're already over the threshold. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're over that threshold. Or now you can't fish at the so-called entry one, stuff anymore. Yeah, that's not fair either. And for the guys that get discouraged from, oh man, I'm fishing against this guy again, I'm fishing against that guy. That's how it's always going to be. Everything, And if you have that mindset going into tournaments, looking, oh, who signed up the night before? Who's this? Oh, that guy's always good on the Delta. That guy's always good at Maloney's, Folsom, whatever. Then you already defeated yourself. Yeah. And you do want to have fun, of course. Everybody has fun at the tournaments. Before, after, during the tournaments, it's fun just to, hang out with the guys and gals and stuff. But, it's just, again, it goes back to what we've talked about many times is you got to practice, time on the water, all that stuff,
And so
anyone's capable of winning these tournaments.
Yeah. And so, sorry, Todd, it's just you kind of brought up something that I forgot to mention as well. So there's a lot of new kayak trails that are, there'll always be tournament trails that come and go. 1 year they're here, 1 year they're out. That goes for boats, that goes for kayaks, any kind of, bass fishing tournament trail, quote unquote trail. They'll come, they'll maybe run a season, it's not profitable or whatever, not enough showing, not enough anglers coming out. They may end, or they might be newer local derbies, like
Yeah.
newer local trails. You always have, newer ones, maybe guys run it for a year and it's just too much work and they drop it off, they just don't want to run anymore. And that's fine. Um, the problem, so here's the way I see it. If you're going to say go into a less competitive field to, I wouldn't say gain an advantage, right? But to go participate for an award, essentially, is what it kind of comes to this point. Because if you have, let's just say, for example, right, a new trail pops up and you have 10 guys signed up, and you go fish this new trail with 10 guys signed up, and you automatically make a top 10, first and foremost. Secondly, let's just say you make it into a top 3. Is it really satisfying that you beat 10 other guys?
Yeah.
Or sorry, 9 other guys, I should say. There's that point. And not only that, most of the time, because these trails are still all entry-level trails. I mean, even BAM is an entry-level trail. They're just giving the BAM Kayak series is an entry-level trail.
Yeah.
And they're just giving the exposure and the
Right.
The feel of a more professional rand circuit, like say Havasu that just happened recently. Guys that are Havasu, they're like, dude, it was awesome. There was boating around taking pictures of us. Mark does that exact same thing when we do when the BAM Kayak Trail last year that I fished, the couple that I did fish, Mark does the exact same thing that Bass does on his own dime. So that's where kind of the weigh-ins and the feel and the coverage comes into that more professional feel. So you can kind of equate it as like higher level trail. It doesn't mean that there's qualifications for it to be a higher, kayak trail, but it gives that higher level feel.
Yeah. And that's kind of something I kind of mentioned to James a little bit during the off season, because I've been with RB Bass for quite some time now. And one of the plans I've been wanting to do for the last season as well is after the award ceremony, take the top 3, pull them aside, and do individual interviews with them, and get those posted on RB Bass. RB Bass, we're the second most hit bass fishing website, right below Western Bass.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a ton of hits, and I want to try to help get some more guys on the kayak scene, get some more exposure if they're going to be seeking either sponsorships from different companies and stuff like that. I want to try to get more people on Yak Bass exposed, get Yak Bass a little more exposure and stuff. And I ran this idea through Ron Howe also. So I want to work on doing that after the tournaments, doing individual interviews with them, and try to get people talk about their day. Anyone you want to thank, of course. I tend to forget that sometimes, and people got little line sponsors or maybe a local tackle shop they might give a shout out to, and that stuff posted on the RB Bass page, and also get on the RB Bass YouTube. And so I want to talk to Josh about some other stuff potentially too, to get a potential like Yak Bass YouTube going. We talked about it. It barely got started. I want to try to get something more exciting, more exposure for people.
Well, I'll tell you what kind of happened with that. And I'll be completely transparent here. I believe there's only 3 guys, possibly 2 guys, that send in clips for submission. Yeah, most kayak guys run GoPros.
Well, that's
yeah. And the problem was most guys didn't want to submit, videos, whether it's just one fish catch or a funny moment on the water. Most guys never wanted to submit clips. And so, I know of the other person that did submit. He's actually in the chat, and
Mm.
we both submitted, and when nobody else wanted to submit anything, or everybody's busy. First and foremost, everybody's busy. We get it, but yeah, a lot of guys didn't want to cut the clips and just send the clips out. So that kind of it was great intentions. It's just that's kind of what happened with
Yeah.
that.
Well, because so for instance, I'm going to compare it with RB Bass. All you need is a Gmail account, and you could allow other people access. I could allow James, I could allow Josh, whoever access to it. So if people have, besides the little clips and stuff that happened during Yak Bass, but also, a lot of people want to see what happened during the awards, how people caught fish, things like that. The simple things like that are going to get, hopefully get that up and running. But for sure, you're going to see that stuff on RB Bass as well. And that's, because, if nobody's been to rbbassfishing.net, we basically do fishing reports, some how-tos. They touch on the hunting side. People go on different recipes, how to cook, stuff they, from when they went hunting, whatnot, repairing, trailer maintenance for their hub bearings or whatever it may be. But yeah, I want to get, more of the kayak stuff, more exposure on that. And everyone's going to get seen a lot more on that as well.
AJ's talking a little bit of trash. He wouldn't feel good dunking on a 5-foot rim. Basically saying a top 3 out of 3 anglers kind of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that's kind of where I feel like for the newer guys, right? Because I've been bass fishing for a fair amount of time, at least 10 years. I don't know exactly how long. I didn't get good until maybe the past 5 years, as in kind of understand what I was doing. And I don't mean good as in catch a lot of fish, just understand what I'm looking for. It was until like the past 5 years. But essentially, I also feel like a lot of this is going to be targeted to a lot of the newer guys. And you can hate on me if you like, and that's fine. But I feel like a lot of you guys are asking the wrong questions, or you guys are going to the wrong solutions. And what I mean by that is there's a prime example where guys will say, I need to get live scope, and I'll immediately become a better angler. And that's not how that works. A better angler understands the fish first, and then he'll get live scope as a tool to help. And that's what I feel like a lot of the newer anglers are really, they're kind of being drawn into this live scope thing, which, don't get me wrong, it's a great tool. It'll teach you a lot, but you're really missing a big picture, as in it's not just the foundations in bass fishing. The foundations still work, as in understanding where the bass go during the winter, understand why understand why the water comes up and the bass goes up with the water. Like prime examples like Shasta. Shasta came up 20 whatever feet.
Yeah.
The bass are probably up super shallow, nose up in the dirt. We don't have any tournaments on Shasta, but that's very typical of spotted bass or highland reservoir, lakes. And you don't get that information by just buying live scope. You get that information by whether it's going through seminars, Bass University TV, or reputable sources, your actual anglers that fish for a living, not just YouTube guys, if that makes sense, or even like this, like a podcast. If the person is a reputable source, then sure, they may be giving you proper information. But I feel like there's just, for the newer guys, I feel like they're getting, it's almost kind of like back in the day, right? Where you do a project, you find your sources, you find your information, and then you cross-check it with another book to make sure that those sources are legit. And now it's not even nobody even double checks it anymore. It's just, oh yeah, he said so on TikTok, so that's gonna happen. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the newer anglers are kind of being hurt because of that. They're buying live scope because guys say that it makes a difference, but they don't understand why the fish are there and why the fish are they're targeting those open water fish and why they're doing it. And I feel like it hurts most of the newer guys. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And with that, I just lost all of our viewers, Sean, simply because guys, you liked us this whole time.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. We go in techniques specifics now. No.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Ramel?
I feel it's hard.
So that's kind of where my mind's been at recently. I've been thinking about it. I didn't know how to say this and not make the newer guys feel like I'm targeting them and just yelling at them. I didn't want to do that. It's just I feel like there's a lot of newer anglers in the kayak scene that are relying very heavily on what social media is telling them, and that's not the whole picture, you know.
Yeah.
So whether they know that or not, I don't know, but that's just kind of the truth behind the way I feel, because I caught more 10-pounders without live scope than I did with live scope.
Yeah.
If that tells you anything. So it's not the end all be all. Well, it's a great tool, but fish behavior, what the fish are doing is far more important than having live scope if you don't even know how to understand the fish's behavior. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I get it. I've been the new guy on the kayak scene and stuff before, and looking at be intimidated by people's rigs and setups, be like, oh man, my kayak's nothing compared to what that person has and stuff. But you can't be discouraged from all that.
Yeah. Ramel, yes, Drew Gregory won without electronics. And fun fact.
Exactly. Yeah.
And fun fact, I know some anglers that basically came back home and sold their unit to upgrade.
Yeah.
It's not electronics, gentlemen. It's understanding behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding what the fish are doing, and that's why you put time on the water. As in the YouTube video can tell you what the fish are doing, but you have to go put time on the water to see what their behavior is. So, go ahead, Sean. I'm gonna send this link to Isaiah West. Isaiah West wants to tune in.
Oh, good. Shoot,
Let's see what kind of.
I don't know. We could go on these little rants for forever about this stuff, and like everyone's said many times, it's a tool. There's times when it's really effective, and there's times when it's not. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. And and when you decide when not to use it, when not to rely on it, it's all part of fishing. You're making decisions, every day on the water, almost every moment, when to change this, when to change that. They're not shallow. I got to go deep. You can't scope everything. It's just a tool. Yeah. Just like when I was at Folsom the other day, I saw a bunch of fish. Still couldn't catch them though.
For anybody that wishes to join in, let me know. I'll send you the link. Just drop a comment saying you want to join in. I'll DM you the link, just because it seemed like even though I posted the link, guys wouldn't join anyway. So I might as well just I might as well just send it to the guys that want to join in. So anybody that wishes to join in, just let me know. I'll send you the link. We have Isaiah now.
What's up, fellas?
How you doing, Isaiah?
I'm all right. Tired.
Yeah. We're all tired. Well,
words of advice to the young anglers, Isaiah, because I feel like as the tournament season's kicking off,
young anglers time on the water.
Yeah,
as much time as you can put on the water as you can.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well,
It's just
when I first started, it was okay. So we say we fish Berryessa for this weekend for a tournament. Fish it. Okay, cool. What's the next event? As soon as the next event starts, I'm going to that lake for the next month.
Yeah. Oh shit!
oh, what's up, Romel?
What's up, guys? You'll have to excuse my voice, okay? Sorry, I'm sick, but I wanted to chime in real quick after my humbling experience on Havasu, for sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, go ahead. You guys are gone. I'll roll in a second. Go for it. Isaiah was rolling, so.
Go ahead, Isaiah. Finish your thoughts, sir.
Oh, that's it. That's just you got to spend as much time as you can. Like now, like right now, I'm prepping for Folsom, and we have Folsom next month as well. So I'm just spending as much time as I can up there, just to figure out the area because it's a difficult fishery, as most people would say.
Before we jump into anything, Marvin's throwing one out there. I know exactly where Marvin's going with this. Basically, Marvin's talking about pro staffs is exactly what he's referring to. For the guys that don't understand what he's referring to, can you hook me up with free product and I'll sport your brand? Is essentially what he's saying.
Yeah, you get him a sticker.
You know, with that, I'll say this. There's Marvin wants the link too.
Oh,
Dang.
Here we go. It's gonna get a little bit wild tonight.
Now we got a party going now. Look out.
Oh yeah, we do. But with the pro staff thing, do it. Get your discounts. But if you don't know what you're selling, don't talk like how you know what you're selling. Is the best way I'll put it. Link was just sent to you, Marvin.
No comment on that.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'll just keep it honest because there's a lot of
all day, every day.
As the fishing world grows, you know, there's gonna be opportunities that pop out, pro staff, you know, things to promote products and so on and so forth. And so, you know, whoever that's promoting those products, see if they're a reputable source. You know, check your facts before you jump all in with it.
That's always been my thing. But you know, the sponsors I've had, like, I'm only gonna promote someone's product if I'm knowledgeable about it and I have confidence about the product, and I use it and I would recommend it to a fellow angler. That's the only sponsors I have. I have through RB Bass, I have access to other companies. I'm just not familiar with some of their products, so I'm not gonna pretend that, oh yeah, use this topwater bait, I use it all the time, when I don't, you know.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna go to my home lake, never even having a Newport, you know, NK 180 or NK 300. And I'm just gonna tag Ramon and be like, yeah, NK 300 is the best while I'm running an XI 3. You know, why am I gonna do that for? Does that make any sense? You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Kind of.
Hey,
there's a party in here.
This panel we got on tonight.
Man, it's like all old schoolers here, huh?
I want to see if I
are we what? We're all ranting about the new guys here, Max.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's been so politically correct for so long that I feel like the newer guys are almost suffering. Is what I honestly feel like. There's just so much. There's new guys that are just getting free stuff from unknown sources, non-credible sources, and they're just taking it and running with it. And it doesn't work. It's fishing stuff. Sure, it works. That's fine. Sell your product. Do what you got to do. But don't bash on other brands.
Yeah.
Just to say that yours is the best. You know?
It doesn't look. It doesn't look.
Yeah. Don't do that. You know? everybody's just trying to fish at the end of the day. There's no reason to cut ties and bash on that brand and this brand, whether, whatever company it is. There's no reason to bash on brands. If there's a problem, talk to HR, take it to customer support. Really, get it figured out.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it doesn't look good on you or the company or brand. Be bashing other companies. That's not cool at all.
With that being said, the Wizard with all the brands, do you have anything to say?
I guess being in the industry, I guess I could say that now. But working for a company for 4 years, I've been with Newport for 4 years now. I think it's funny. I think a lot of people don't really realize that I actually work for Newport. Like, that's my Monday through Friday, like 8 to 5 job. I actually am product development for Newport. Just put that out there. I do have a real job, and I do work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Okay.
What are you talking about? You don't just go fishing all the time?
No,
sure?
Man. No. I think a lot of people think I'm a pro staff, or like, I'm a rep or something like that. And I'm like, no, I actually develop products for Newport, for the industry, right? It's like, so that's also funny too, like the Wizard FCS foot steering system. I think people think I'm making that in my garage and then sending it to Big Adventure to sell. I'm like,
directions.
no, I'm not doing that. Like, Big Adventures is manufacturing that at Big Adventures. I don't have any here.
Give me $1 of every single piece of foot steering that you sell, and then you guys can use it so I can make $1 million off of it, right, Romel?
Yeah, right. I mean, dude, it just, I know, like, people think it's like, oh, I'm going to call up Romel and he's got one lying in his garage. I'm like, no, I actually don't. I don't even have one for myself right now. So just FYI. But I've been blessed and lucky enough to be in the industry and meet a lot of good friends and meet a lot of good people. And so the brands that I wouldn't even say represent, but the stuff that you see on my social media, like if you look at my posts, I really don't tag like bunch of different brands. You see what I see. You see what you see in my posts. You see what I like. That's what I use. And to me, as far as like looking at the ambassador program for Newport and whatnot, we have a lot of guys that come on and just like, I want to rep your brand. I'm like, but I just looked at your post, but you don't run it. It's like, what is the point in that? Like, what are you trying to gain from that? You just looking to make your list bigger for your, quote unquote resume? Is that what's going on? But at the end of the day, the industry is so small. If you make one bad move, if you make one like false claim, that black eye you get stays for a long, long time. So keep that in mind. Like Max said, like really understand what you're representing and believe in the product. Use it, believe in it, stand by it, like 100% before you go and ask, or before you go and try to get a promotional staff or a sponsorship or whatever it is you got. Like, I see it all the time. It's crazy. But I mean, that's my take on that. But I just wanted to jump on and kind of go over my Havasu experience. And I tell you what, like going to Havasu and competing against a lot of those guys and just fishing that type of lake, we're talking gin clear, like absolutely out of my comfort zone, the farthest you can get from my comfort zone. And my performance showed it. I absolutely rolled donuts all day. I was sponsored by Krispy Kreme all weekend. Okay. But that's okay. But you know what? I went into it. I donated my money. I donated my time. I went into it for the experience. And I was okay with that. Not saying that I wasn't trying my best to compete and trying my best to actually catch a fish, because I tried everything that I knew, but I just didn't know how to fish that style of lake. And I wasn't in the mindset to go chase a river bite hella far from where I was. I wasn't mentally prepared to do that, so I did not. So like I said, Drew, he came and had dinner after the first night. And it was like, don't really go into details, of course, when we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I fished my strengths. That's all he said.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I know Drew's a river fisherman. So no electronics, no graphs, just fished his confidence. You have to go into like a situation, like all the new guys going into it. Like I run into new anglers all the time, and I say, what is your confidence bait? What is the bait that you're going to tie on if you want to get bit? You know how to work it. You know how to throw it. You know how to do everything about it. And if you don't have at least 2 of those in your bag, go back to the drawing board and go get 2 and go from there. Don't go by live scope. Don't go by spot lock. Don't go by all this stuff. Don't go by megabass rods. Don't go by, all this stuff. Learn how to fish and gain some strengths and confidence and stuff, whatever that might be.
But you can buy NK180 though. But continue.
You can. It's funny. It's like, let's talk about this too. I saw probably 5 or 6 XTR 130s out there.
Damn.
And we're talking power pull move, like full on motors on there, through 2 graphs, everything in the kitchen sink, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, that's where we're going. I was like, I was expecting to see maybe 2 or 3 or whatnot, but I saw at least 5, probably 6 XTRs. And it was just interesting to me to see, and we started talking about bow mounts versus rear mount motors. And I always tell people, like, when we talk about where to start, and I always say, like, boat control and learning how to control your boat, whether it be rear motor, bow mount, pedal, paddle, freaking Fred Flintstone, I don't care what it is, right? Learning how to control your boat with what you have is key. Those are skills that you need to have to be a successful angler, is learning how to control drift, learning how to fish in the wind, learning how to fish in these conditions. And instead of, I'm just going to throw a bow mount and I'm going to hit spot lock. It's like, you have bow mount, spot lock, max. That's not all there is about it. There's still techniques that there's things that you need to do in order for your bow mount to operate and to work properly. If you want to fish an area that's behind you, but the current and wind is coming up from this direction, what do you have to do? Like, how do you position your boat? So on and so forth. You still have to know these things. You're not going to be able to hit a button and fish are going to jump in your boat, regardless of whatever you think and how much you spend. I was talking about one of the guys was like, hey, he's like, you got an XTR 130. I'm like, I'm lucky enough, once again, to know a lot of cool people in this industry. And yes, I do have an XTR 130. And they're like, oh man, I bet you that thing's going to be rigged out to the gills. I'm like, actually, it's not, because I'm poor. I have 2 kids in college. So let's be honest. Like, I don't have it like that. I don't have two 12-inch graphs lying around. I'm not going to call up anybody from Garmin or Lowrance, and they're not going to send me all this stuff to put on my kayak. I'm not. That's just not how it, like, that's reality. My reality is I'm going to take whatever's on my PWR and flip flop, go back and forth. But, and then like motors wise, it's like, dude, I have this old Minn Kota Edge. If you know, like, like, you know, boats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Minn Kota Edge, like, I think it's a 40 pound thrust cable foot steer motor. I'm going to put that on my XTR. That's what I got. But you know what? Dude, I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing is I know how to run that motor. I know how to position myself with that motor. I know how to use it like the back of my head, because that's what I learned on back in the day, right? So once again, fish your confidence. Go out and spend, like you said, Sean, spend time on the water, gain confidence in what you have. Don't look at what everybody else has, and just get confident with what you got, and you'll do fine.
Hell yeah. We got the Ramel yelling at everybody now too. Hell yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah, let's go.
We're doing the right stuff here.
Well, let me.
You
about you?
always want to, real quick, you always want to punch up, right? You don't ever want to punch down. So when you go up against competition, you want to punch up, man. You're not trying to beat up on the guys below you.
At this point, I might as well just beat down on everybody. Forget punching up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marvin.
What's up, Marvin?
All right, so, you know, most of you guys know I'm not fishing much these days, but I'm still heavily in the industry in the background. And, you know, one of the things I always get is from the new guys, like, you know, how do you get all get these free product? You know, can you hook me up and all that stuff? I'm like, man, you know, I come from a time, I mean, you guys are probably the same age as me. The game's meant to be sold, not told. And, you know, I built relationships with these companies. And I still have these good relationships with companies. Even though I'm not really fishing right now, I'm still very involved with them. And it all comes down to make them money. If you can make them money, they're going to give it even back. And also build good relationships with other people that took care of you. Right, Ramil?
100%.
Yep. So you build that network of people that take care of you, that can take care of you back. And, you know, I see a lot of bashing, a lot of bad people bashing, you know, having, you know, bad rigs and, you know, not having the Joneses, and you know that's not what it really is about. And if you ever want to get into like getting sponsored, I mean, you got to show up and make money for the company, not about just showing products, you know, tagging and all that stuff. And that only goes so far. I mean, if you really know what I did for, you know, Dakota, I built accounts for retail companies, retail stores to open up and to have products set up in their stores. Pro staffers don't do that. So if you want to get some, you know, build a good relationship with a company that, you know, that will make them company, put their product in the stores. You know, I didn't really work with too much of the social media stuff. I mean, I was really active at one point, but most of the stuff I did was in the back end. And so that's my advice for all the new guys out there. It's all about the social media work that I did, but it's actually in the back end. It's to make money for the company. Until this day, I still keep relationships with these companies. I'm not really fishing right now. I will be soon, and you know, maintain these relationships. I'm still heavily with Native. Watch out for the tournament coming up in March 30th.
Yeah,
and I'm also part. You know, I help design the boats along with Romel. He's a part of the team. We're both on the same team designing boats for our big waters. So that's pretty cool.
I'm about to really tell you. I know you're probably not allowed to say anything, Marvin, but Abe was curious about the May 3rd National Native event. I'm assuming you cannot say anything, but
what it was? Oh, the national event. It's coming. It's not in full details. It's coming. We got the lakes kind of picked out. But it's coming, but not the full details. There's two guys that are actually handling the back end of the event, and they're the ones that can be providing all the information. But it's coming. That is, yeah, you're gonna like it. It's a nice format.
I know the lakes. Just kidding. I don't know.
And also, the wizard was talking about using the strengths on the water, and I think anybody that wants to get good, it's all about time in the water. I mean, when I get back out there in the water, even Folsom, dude, I haven't fished for like almost like 6 months, and I saw Sean up the lake. Got me there. Oh, my bad. Yeah, dude, I skunked so bad, dude. I skunked so bad. It's like, dude, I was like learning all over again, especially with I haven't been in my boat in a while. I couldn't control it. I'm like, dude, what is happening to me? But it was good to be out on the water. It was good to be out on the water. So
It's good to see you out.
Yeah. But it was a struggle. It was a struggle. It was cold, and I nagged on the wife. Come home. So you know how it is.
Yeah.
But
So it's just that's kind of why I brought that whole entire topic up. It's because there's so many new guys that are immediately looking for some sort of pro staff position. There's guys immediately looking for tournament results, as in I want to do well immediately, even though they bass fish maybe 5 times. Got it.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, tournament
Does
bass
not
fishing
work that way.
is the worst sport to win in ever. I mean, like the most successful angler in bass fishing for us, like on the kayak side, right, is probably Damien right now, right? And even Damien doesn't win all the time, and sometimes Damien slips up and he doesn't do well. So you can't see it as I'm immediately gonna do well and maintain a consistent level of competitiveness, no matter what. It's fishing, and you're gonna make the wrong decisions throughout the course of an 8-hour tournament. It's bound to happen. It's happened to all of us, I'm pretty sure. At some point, you lose one fish, and that's the winning fish.
Man, I wish I would have been able to just hook one fish at Havasu. Dude, I honestly, I really do think because I had my active target 2 on my kayak, and I think it hurt me more than it helped me, for sure.
Mhm.
I was so fixated on fishing the cages, and was so fixated on just watching those fish go in and out of those cages, and just trying for hours trying to get that. I think I lost 6 or 7 jigs. I lost a ton of terminal tackle on those cages, and where I should have, of course, coulda, shoulda, woulda, done something different. But dude, I just got locked in. I got lost in that freaking just the emotions and just seeing all this stuff, and it was pretty bad. I was like, dang.
There's hundreds of those cages.
Oh, dude, all over the place, man.
And they're huge.
Yeah, dude, they're they look like crab pots.
Yeah.
You ever watch Deadliest Catch? They're like that. And there's dude, but we're talking, dude, the water was, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the pictures. I don't know if you guys have been to Havasu, but dude, the water is so clear. It's just you have to really be conscious of where you are. I think that's what got me too, is on the Delta, it doesn't really matter. I could be on top of the fish, and they literally don't care. But I had just so many things that I was not accustomed to, and I was not prepared for. Didn't put the time to pre-fish. I was busy with work stuff. So just wow, what an experience though. It was super cool, but definitely super humbling, for sure.
You drove out there by yourself?
I did.
Wow. That hurt.
Yeah.
That was a long drive.
Yeah, and then it was it's a long drive, but it was worth it. I love it. It was cool. It was cool to be out there. Cool to get on the water. Even though I didn't really catch anything, but you always learn from every experience, no matter what it is.
Well, I think you just have to. You can learn from every experience, but you kind of have to see that you need to learn from it too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For
because
sure.
like I was saying earlier, there's some guys that are oblivious. So they're like, I sucked at this tournament because my life scope wasn't the newest life scope, so I'm gonna go buy the newest one. That doesn't do anything.
No.
So
I mean, dude, once again, I had, all all the tech that pretty much anybody would want. I mean, 12-inch graph and like whatever, like live active target 2. Shit, I have freaking hydrowave on my boat. Like, turn that shit volume up all the way, all that stuff, Didn't do me any good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I wasn't there, but from what I gathered, from what I've gathered from just the conditions and what it looked like the lake didn't turn over, as in
yeah.
the lake didn't
It
turn
was-
over to its winter mode. It was still kind of that fall funky mode where there was fish shallow and there was fish deep. The fish deep winterized and the fish shallow kind of were still feeding on their time, as in whatever time they wanted to feed on. And essentially what happened was the windows were so small that once you got on that little school of fish to bite, you would catch them and then you'd be able to weigh them in, or you'd finesse all day and struggle all day to basically catch a couple. That's what it sounded like to me.
You're spot on. You're spot on.
I wasn't there. How did I know that? I must have had live scope.
Dude, I mean, like 6 people. I think it's 6 people caught limits both days.
Yeah.
What's up, Isaiah? Kind of quiet over there. What's your rant?
I don't have a rant, just time on the water, man.
Time on the water, right? Yeah.
He's ready for Folsom.
Yeah, after I came back from Berryessa today, yeah.
So anybody got anything on Folsom? I know Robert's here. Robert's the one guy that has major FOMO, that he just wants all these updates, and he says he's not going to fish, but he's going to sign up and fish the last day or two. Yep. So anybody know anything?
Not saying anything about Folsom.
No, I'm gonna keep it quiet.
Okay.
The trout's on fire over there.
That's all I know is people catch trout.
On fire.
I found 38-degree water in Folsom.
Wow.
Yikes.
That's pretty awesome.
Great snow melt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Salmon Fall Bridge,
Excellent.
the old Salmon Fall Bridge is out. So
Yeah. I was up there.
wow.
Freezing.
So water's low and water's cold is what you're saying. Well, I'll tell everybody what I would do. I'd go fish the ditches. And if you don't know what a ditch is, go study. Because that's where I would be. I would be fishing the ditches on the huge flat with the ditches with bait nearby. I'd be targeting the ditches. And I'm fishing the team event. So that's where I would look first. The ditches and the rocks.
You know what I'm doing.
I'm debating on fishing that. I don't know, man.
Do you have a partner?
I don't know if I could commit. No, man. Like nobody has done the promposal yet, so I haven't.
Mark, you and Marvin could be teammates because
I'm gonna be volleyball. I got volleyball for my daughter.
Yeah,
denied live.
Yeah, I know. It's sad.
My kids are almost grown up, so it's that time of the year where hopefully my nest will be empty soon.
There you go. I'm already there.
Now you got
what's funny is like
it's more expensive.
Right. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Anyhow, I'm gonna check out because I'm not feeling well still, but I just wanted to hop on.
Me
See
too.
what's up.
I gotta get out here. I got to cook dinner. Hey, thanks for having me on. Thanks for getting my rant.
Yeah.
See you later.
Here you go.
Thanks for hopping on, guys.
Later, gentlemen. See ya.
Hey, I just want to say, hey, thanks for all the support and stuff, man. Like,
dude, all good, man.
Like, I couldn't have done what I did last year without all your support, man.
Yeah,
know?
no worries, dude. That's why we're here. We are
I
we are we are in a very cool industry. That's for sure. Cool
absolutely
community too.
totally
So
appreciate it. And I owe you big time, man. Seriously.
dude, don't even trip. I always say, like with everything, you get out what you put in, right? That's where it's at. So, but all right, gentlemen, have a good evening. We'll see you later.
Later.
Get better, Ramel.
Later. Thanks.
That
All
was
right,
just
cool.
like a.
We could
That
talk
was
about
like. Sean just like gave Ramel a love letter. Like,
no, sincerely, like he
yeah.
helped me
Ramel's the man.
a lot.
Ramel's the man.
Drove down his place.
Yeah.
He got me dialed in and stuff, and
Yeah.
I like forever in debt to that guy. Like sincerely, like got me
Yeah.
dialed.
There's a lot of guys that will take advantage of Ramel, and that's just not right. But Ramel will never speak up on it because
Yeah,
that's just not Ramel. And so, unfortunately, he gets taken advantage of every now and then, and he just doesn't tell anybody. But it happens.
Oh,
I know
100% it
happens.
does.
Yeah, and that's such a shame. That's such a shame after all he does for the kayak,
yeah. So
our kayak community.
we want to next. You want to talk a little about the team tournaments, strategies, stuff. It's a real unique thing, I guess. Because I'm fishing with Isaiah. Team Shizaiah, of course. Like, I think.
Well, what?
Why
don't you guys give us? Why don't you give us your guys' game plan? As in, not area, but just how you guys decided. Talk about how you guys decided to. Who's doing what? Are you guys still just fishing on strengths and then just throw up whatever fish you catch? Or
excited about the original schedule. Then, of course, we're gonna have some modifications this year. And I fished with Isaiah before. Besides halibut fishing, watching him catch a halibut. But also, I like Clear Lake and stuff, and I like some of the stuff he was doing. He was throwing different. I don't normally throw. He catches fish. He's super knowledgeable. We fished. We share the same slough in the Delta.
Yeah, last year.
And I think that we're our different
or year before
techniques and abilities just going to really complement each other. We're not all be chucking big swim baits or just finesse drop shot stuff. He's real versatile in what he throws, and we're just going to make things happen. And for strategy wise, we've just been kind of communicating about what we've been figuring out at Folsom and stuff, and just kind of come up with strategy. And we might fish different areas or something, but we're gonna see how it goes.
You didn't give us anything, Sean.
Nope.
You just gave us a bunch of gibberish and then you just ended there. You didn't give us anything.
No, I'm not going to say anything about Folsom. People need to go out and put some time in there and figure it out. Because probably 3/4 of my day when I was out there trying stuff just to clear my mind of those things in the tournament. You're like, ooh, they might be up this area. Oh, they might be over here. Ooh, remember that one time years ago that the spotted bass were doing this time of year? Well, they weren't doing that this time. So
nope.
they're kind of doing what I thought they were doing, which I probably around 1:30 I kind of did what I thought they were doing, and they were doing what they should have been doing.
So my only question to you guys, that you guys fished it, right? You guys said the trout there was a lot of trout, right? Was there any bass chasing trout? That's all I really want to know.
I don't have live scopes, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, well, did you see any trout jumping and skipping?
Not really. When I was up there, I didn't see much. It was mainly a lot of the birds working.
No, so
okay.
One of the things I do with a lot of these lakes, I don't know if other people do it, just go on the fishing game website, see when was the last time they planted.
Mm-hmm.
Because mostly the stock trout, it takes them a little while to acclimate to the water and all that stuff. And for whatever reason, the bass know when the trout are getting stocked. they'll be staged up in different spots near the launch ramps or whatever, wherever they stock them at. And they haven't stocked Folsom since when was it? End of November.
Mhm.
2 weeks back to back. That's the last time they stocked. But we know Folsom, there's a bunch of trout in there. There's holdover trout
There's kings too.
and lock salmon in there. There's some other fish that I'm not going to talk about. I told Isaiah about them.
Yep.
Gotcha. So essentially,
Which is a
throat.
kind of a key what some of the fish are eating right now.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. I don't know what you guys are referring to, but it's not your guys' secret to share. It was your guys' secret to share, so I won't say it. But I just want to mess with Robert. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
But no, just putting the puzzle together. It's pretty much what it is. I've found fish out deep. I couldn't get them to go. There's fish shallow. There's deep. They're all throughout the water.
There's fish all over.
So here's what I think is happening. Just my 2 cents. I fish a lot. Everybody knows I fish a lot. And essentially what's happening to all of our lakes right now, besides the very few lakes that have essentially already turned over, a lot of our lakes have not turned over yet. And so at least most of our, Central Valley lakes about Northern California, or if you want to just consider, Central Valley all the way up to Northern California, all the same lakes, by all means. A lot of the lakes haven't turned over yet, and it hasn't gotten cold enough to where the water has actually flipped and everything has stabilized.
Yeah.
And the water has full on hit winter mode, or full on is still, pre-spawn. It hasn't happened. The fish are still kind of stuck in that fall mode, because it's no secret. My home lake, I was out there and I had an algae bloom. I still have an algae bloom
Saw that
to this day. Yeah. Yeah. So anytime I go out there, there's an algae bloom on the top of the surface. And then, as just like Clear Lake, right? Once it gets cold or the night comes, then the algae dies off. But the very next day, it blooms again. It just goes to show you how warm the actual top layer of the water is to be able to bloom algae in the winter. And because of that, the fish are kind of, in my opinion, if you want to target the most active fish, you want to target the shallow fish. Those are going to be your most active fish. Whether that's 0 feet to 10 feet or 0 feet to 15 feet, those are going to be your most active fish. And then anything below that, whatever that threshold is, whatever that line of cold water is at, that thermocline line is at, all of the other fish is going to be winter fish. They're going to be in that winter mode. So those are probably the biggest key items on the fish behavior of what the fish are doing in general right now, in my opinion.
I mean, that's what I saw today on my home lake on Berryessa. I mean, it is. But I know how to look for the thermocline. I turn my sensitivity way up and go out in the deepest part and be like, all right, here's where the thermocline is. But it's also at the point to where if you don't get more rain, it's not going to turn over.
Yeah. So for all the guys that are listening and intend to go to Folsom, that's basically your 2 ways of fishing. And what I found is those shallow fish, you can finesse them, but those really big ones are more so of a timing deal. And by big ones, I mean your 4 pound plus class fish, your better ones. So that's all I got. Go find the fish.
Yep. Figure them out.
That being said, do you guys know of Brian Smith?
No.
Yeah.
One bass, well, probably Sean knows. One bass Havasu winner recently.
Yep. Elite. Yeah. The only elite guy we have still associated with the West.
Yep. The only guy that still lives in California that drives to wherever the elite series events are happening. Everybody else either has a house out there or flies out there and they have a boat out there. I saw him at ISC. I'm pretty sure you saw him too, Sean. Did you get a chance to chat with him?
No, I saw him just up on the tank. I didn't get a chance to chat. I was doing some schmoozing with another person at the time, making sure he was still aboard with RB Bass and stuff. Make sure all that relationship that we have was still good and everything going into this year. So.
Did he give you any forward-facing sonar tips? Did you ask him about any?
Brian Smith, I didn't get a chance to talk to him.
Okay.
No, I was talking to Greg Gutierrez for Frenzy Baits.
Gotcha. Yeah. No.
Pretty excited about, if no one's seen it, it's actually on his website, the forward-facing sonar jig head that he came up with.
The one you showed me?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
freaking incredible.
Did you throw it yet?
Yes.
Give us a review. Did you throw it? Okay. Tell us. Tell us about it, Sean.
Let me grab it because there's real specifics on it.
Yes.
Damn it.
Do a sales pitch for us, please.
Hold on. I'm finding it.
Give us some after dark juice so that you guys will feel better about tuning in after we badmouthed everyone.
All right, here we go. There you go. The forward face sonar stroller. So we'll pull it out. This is pretty cool. So if you look at the head, it's similar to
1
the
second, sir.
head, right?
I'm gonna give you a full screen.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, there we go. Similar to the owner roller one. It has a double barb on there, which is different than the owner one. This is one of the keys. Here, I'm gonna get close. See, that's the head of it, the front part. He call that a sound ring, is what he calls that. So there's two things. What this does is the action of it, besides it's weighted higher on the head, so you're gonna get that rolling action. But that right there, that sound ring, if you're familiar with baseball, it does kind of like a knuckleball effect. When the water gets caught in those rings, like a knuckleball does one of these kind of things, you'll get some of that motion also. But also, those little rings right there, it's not rounded. So when your forward-facing sonar is sending that signal like this, your bait, as you're working it, it's going to reflect more off of those sound rings there. So you're going to get better clarity of where your bait is also. And the hook on these are specifically, it's a Mustad hook. It's specifically made for Frenzy baits. He has a similar hook on the Frenzy Nail also. And it's absolutely a incredible hook. The bait, the double barb compared to the roller one, it's in my box. Your bait's going to hold up on here. Some of the other heads, say you get bit and you set the hook and you missed them, and your bait ends up sliding down. The rest of that cast is pretty much no good because your bait's all jacked up on your jig head. That double barb's going to help keep that bait in place. So if you do miss a strike, like some of those spotted bass will just nip at it, you can drop it back down that strike zone, and it's and most likely catch that fish. But he has it in 1/8 ounce and 3/16. This one has a 2-watt hook on it. So there you go. Pretty awesome.
That's what it is. I've yet to throw it. He gave me some as well, but he gave me the 3-aught hook size.
3-aught.
Yeah, simply because on my home lake, I fish them more so on bigger fish, bigger bait. So I throw a 7 or 8 inch sock mounted shad instead of a 5 or 3 or 4. Yeah.
3-aught.
So so it's slightly bigger hook, or
I'm excited.
not bigger, longer hook.
The hook's cool. So it's just like on the Frenzy Nail. What year was it? I don't know. Last time I went to Oroville. but I used that same frenzy nail in 2 tournaments. And I didn't lose it. Hook was still good, still hooking fish, wasn't losing them. But yeah, Greg puts a lot of time into designing his bait before he sends them out, and
Yeah, no,
a lot of time in this, and I'm excited.
I haven't helped you out a little bit either. It's not a break the bank price point either. It's
Nope.
it's a $5, $5.49 or something like that per pack for a pack of 3. Yeah,
That's
so
not
it's
bad.
Yeah,
it,
not coming from overseas, super expensive, straight out of California, like good stuff. Love it. So,
and
that's
yes, it
that's my
is.
little plug. Yes,
It is a lead head. It is
Yep.
a lead head, just like the Range Rover. Range Rover is also a lead head. Yeah, I know guys like using the Kitech jig heads, which is fine.
Yeah.
You know, the tungsten heads. It's just you're paying for tungsten. By all means, go for it. Which Jeremy brings up a good question for you too. Have you used a tungsten head, Sean? Have you seen the difference?
hold on.
Sean is a guy that does it all. Me personally, I haven't seen a difference because if you could track a lead head, you'll be able to track a tungsten head just fine. So I haven't seen any difference. Me personally.
I'm sure he's referring to the
Yeah.
Yep.
and I have them. I got a bunch of packs of them because that's what I was just using. So there you go. That I got them all different sizes, of course. I use use Don Pedro, been using all year on a sonar minnow. Sonar minnow, super inexpensive, but these tungsten heads are expensive. Tungsten supposedly shows up better, but I've also used different baits, such as something like the Hog Farmer bait,
Mm-hmm.
and that thing just glows when you on your forward facing sonar.
Yeah, it's got all the ribs to it. It helps return the sonar.
It's deflecting a lot more.
Ribbed for pleasure.
That's what I'm talking about.
They make products to help you see your baits too on forward facing, like scents. I think one bait pop I've seen them using. The Elite series. Some guys use it there.
So that's
That
just
being said, there is also Alpha Angler. Alpha Angler, they also make their own forward facing head as well. It's a different metal material, as in it's an alloy instead of your typical lead or tungsten. And the shape of it is different. It looks closer to the Picasso kind of drop down head, where it's a giant pill shaped almost, a giant Mentos. It looks like a Mentos.
fresh maker.
Yeah. I have yet to put one in the water, so I don't know exactly what it does on the return, action wise. But there's a lot of jig heads come into the forward facing sonar game.
Yeah.
I mean, prime example too is first gen. First gen, their jaw dropper. You can also stroll on that as well, and that'll give it its own different action as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot of playing around with just jig heads in general, if you are going to go down that rabbit hole.
Find what you like most, probably.
Yep. Me personally, I would just have a ball head and just go throw, because I don't like complicating things. If the fish are going to bite, they're going to bite. And if they're not going to bite, I'm going to move on to different fish that will bite. That's the way I approach it.
More cat food.
It's inside.
Meow.
Older cat.
I'm pretty sure you heard that too, right? Is that
No, I didn't hear it. I know Sean's talking to
Oh,
somebody,
you
but I didn't hear it.
It's inside.
They're asking, they're asking about cat food.
Oh.
That's why I give them meow.
He's a scary guy. No, that's it. That's all. That's been my go-to bait. Super cheap too.
Yeah, I know. You throw them in my damn kayak.
Those are my used ones.
I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jeremy's bombing us with
What's he
live
got?
scope questions. Any lines that can be seen. So, apparently, Berkeley has made a new forward-facing sonar line.
Saw that.
Yeah, I haven't done enough research to honestly tell you whether it's supposed to help you see, whether it's supposed to cast better or whatnot. What I can tell you is if I'm gonna be Sunline, I've been messing with. I copy fish on the off season a lot, and the Sunline All Might is a sinking braid. So what it is, Joseph Taxman told me about it. Why it is, it's the core of it is a fluorocarbon, and the outside of it's a braid. So it's a sinking braid because the fluorocarbon drags it down.
It's kind of like a copolymer braid, pretty much.
Yes. So essentially, the reason why I've been messing with that for mid-trolling specific stuff, like when I'm targeting crappie, those suspended fish, is when you have braid and you make that since that braid floats on top of the water, even though you have a leader, you still have that bow in your line. So it kind of messes with the action. Versus if I had a sinking braid, because nobody wants to deal with fluorocarbon and line twist, running straight fluoro or straight mono, whichever you want to call it, whichever you want to run. The line memory is miserable. So I've been messing with the sinking braid more, and it does feel like it helps with the action when you're shaking it, just because it's a little bit more of a direct connection. And not only that, but you don't get that pop from the line that's floating on top of the surface. In terms of lines that can be seen, obviously you can see braid. When I throw braid out there, I see my braid follow the bait down, as in I actually see that bow of braid on my screen. So, any line specific stuff to be seen to help. I don't think there's really any that I know of. I don't know if you guys know of any for live scope.
Not for live scope, no, but I know on my 2D I pick up my line.
There's just two kinds: a fluorocarbon core and a heavy polymer, like Isaiah was saying. Yeah, a heavy copolymer core, basically, to help it sink down. So it does help. When I copy fish, I just tie straight braid to it. But if I wanted to tie a leader to it, I'm pretty sure it would just function just fine. So Able. So that line, if I'm not mistaken, is now discontinued. Nanofil. Rebranded and possibly improved. Interesting. So you're saying that new Berkeley forward-facing sonar line is essentially the old Nano? That's what you're trying to say, right, Abel? Because I know guys loved Nanofil when it was around. The guys that actually fished it, they loved it. It's just they went away, obviously. And there's Joseph with the more scientific answer, because he's the engineer. So copoly sinks like a copoly, and fluorocarbon sinks like a fluorocarbon for your cores. Well, there's your answer, Jeremy. Able with the answer. He's 99% sure it's like nanofil. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Raymond saying the live scope braid will have tungsten flakes in it to see your line on forward-facing sonar. So my question to all the guys at live scope, right? Sean included. I'm pretty sure you've tried using it a couple of times, Isaiah.
Nope, not once.
Okay. Well,
don't need it.
Yeah. Well, you've seen guys use it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you understand the application. So this is also to everybody that's listening. What advantage do you gain, honestly? What advantage do you gain from seeing your line on forward-facing sonar? Is my question to all the guys that
I mean, I don't. know what the advantage would be.
Uh-huh.
I mean, because you get in a line, there's all sorts of different things about line. I think someone mentioned about line recently about it zinging. Oh, it was Josh Paris on the BAM podcast about braid. When you set the hook or whatever, you hear it zinging in the water. It makes that little humming noise.
Oh, the playing the violin.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I don't know, because I mean, lines are there's tons of different lines and new technology coming out. I don't know the advantage of necessarily seeing the line. I mean, I use bright ass yellow braid line, and I want to see it so I can see my line twitch when it takes off. When I find the fish, I want to know where it's at, stuff like that. But then I run to a fluorocarbon leader. But in regards to seeing the line on live scope or something, I don't understand the purpose. I get that, you know, they want to put tungsten flakes, and it's more, you don't get that bow in your line and stuff. But for all the years I've been fishing and studying this, like, you're fishing a plastic bait on your floor face sonar most of the time when you're minnow baits, and how long bass are holding on the plastic baits is absolutely incredible. How long a fish will hold on to it if you just give them line and see how long they hold on to it. They're probably going to end up crapping the bait out. Like, they hold on to the baits for a long time. So the bow, again, that direct, you know, like the straight line going to your bait. I don't know the exact advantage of it. Casting out, you know, the braid's floating, and maybe you get that slight bow like this.
Yeah.
You're twitching it like this. I think you want the line on top of most of those sonar baits, because the line tie, everything's at a 90-degree already, and you want to keep that roller action. If you go like this and you're twitching it, you're kind of speeding up the whole process of the bait, I would assume. So twitching on top and it's slowly doing its thing and inching along, you know, I think that kind of makes more sense. And that's, you know, that's just my thoughts behind it. I don't know, you know, I'm sure someone's going to chime in and say, well, it's because of this.
Yeah.
Well, but that's just my opinion.
So Simon's saying that it helps kind of give you an idea of where his bait is at. You know, if it's too deep, as in if his drop shot is too deep, it just kind of gives him an idea. Angel is saying if so you don't lose your lure when you're around a lot of fish. I guess schooling fish, you know, it's just it's kind of hard.
I mean, wouldn't you have to adjust your settings better to see where your bait is anyway?
I still feel like you would still kind of be able to track it. And if you're around that many fish, wouldn't you just want to be focusing on working the lure? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all fair arguments, but when I'm scoping, right? Okay, there's my fish, 45 feet out. I'm making that cast. You know, maybe I'm off a little bit, and I can turn my scope over. I know exactly where that bait impacted me because I could see on the top of the screen the little splash that it makes. Okay, I know my bait's there, and I could pretty much track my bait. The fish eats my bait, not my line. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sold on the line thing yet. I don't know.
So Raymond's understanding is it helps get your bait down to depth. And if you lose your bait in a 110-foot cast, you can flick the line and it'll pop up on the screen. So essentially, you're saying the line is so that if you lose track of your bait, you could pop it and kind of track it down, track your lure all the way out on the far cast. Is essentially what the gotcha.
I get it for the tracking. It's just following your line like a big arrow, but
I mean that I can kind of see where that will play. Because essentially what it would help out with is with the way that so many guys are having, you know, live scope nowadays, the distance. You know, I talked about this earlier with some of the guys in a group chat. You know, eventually it'll reach a point where unless you're so far away, they're not gonna they're gonna know that you're on them, or they're gonna feel the ping, and eventually they'll just be conditioned, and they won't be comfortable if that ping is too loud or if that ping is too noisy and too close to them. So I kind of talked to him about it. I would practice getting used to making that 100 foot cast, 120 foot cast, and trying to stay further away from those fish, because eventually those fish are definitely gonna feel conditioned to the guys that make those 60 foot casts or 70 foot casts, those short casts. That being said, I mean,
I hope those
yeah,
are good. I hope their knot strength and everything stays true what the label says. I hope that they put a lot of testing and field testing out on that stuff. I hope it all works out. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I'm down to try it, but I don't know. My
yeah,
not broken right now. It's working, so I'm
yeah. It's just one of those deals where you would have to try for yourself and see if it helps.
yeah,
To be
absolutely.
completely honest, yeah,
Hey,
like Abel,
Oh.
yeah. So interesting, new stuff in the fishing industry, if you could say so. There's always new stuff, though. There's always new stuff, and because there's so much new stuff, old stuff will eventually start playing.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
You got any secret lures that you still keep with you, Sean? Before we end
Secret.
our secret lures.
If I told you guys about them.
Yeah, but you can tell us.
No, I mean, after all my tournaments and all my videos, I put everything out there. There's no secret. I drop shotted Margarita Mutilator a lot. I used that sonar minnow. Caught a key fish at Don Pedro on a 5-inch Wacky Rig Senko.
Hey, the Senko is where it's at.
It's not fancy. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of new baits that come out that basically catch more anglers, in my opinion, because we're like, ooh, that looks really good. That will work at the Delta. Ooh, I want to use that as a trailer on this and that. Some of that stuff works. Some of the stuff just maybe doesn't work near some of the bodies of water near us.
I think one of the things that we end up as anglers, we end up getting caught up in is I have this specific scenario and I see this lure work for that specific scenario, and I'm about to go try it because I think the fish are going to eat it in this specific, this exact case. But then once you buy it and you get to the lake, those fish are not even doing that anymore. They've already done something else, and then you just shelve it, and then you just never get around to using it again. because you're like, how often is that exact scenario going to happen again? And that's kind of for some guys. Some guys, they just see it and they like it and they buy it, which is fine. But I'm guilty of it. I'll put it that way. I bought the 6 cents panorama, the 9-inch panorama, because my lake, the fish were eating 10, 15-inch crappie. And so what else looks more like a crappie than a dying crappie than, that giant panorama? And they stopped eating crappie.
Yeah. Those are good looking baits.
Yeah. But
yeah.
There you go. There's a question for you, Sean, as well. Jeremy's just asking about trolling and everything. Do you have live scope now, Jeremy? Is that why you're asking all these live strolling questions?
Oh.
I'm assuming you do. No.
I'm trolling stuff, or sorry, not trolling, scoping. Besides that Yum Sonar minnow, which I have no affiliation with. I just love the bait. They're cheap. They're like $3.50 a pack. Besides those regular minnow baits I'm gonna use, it's just a drop shot, and alternate between nose hooking or Wacky rigging it. That's it. I messed around with jerk bait and scope with a jerk bait or watching my A rig or something, but it's either drop shot or that sonar minnow. That's pretty much it.
I use everything.
Oh, we know. I know.
Yeah, from a big swim bait to a jig to a strolling bait to a crappie jig. I use live scope like everybody else does as well. I target suspending fish as well, but I also use it for my placement, as in so I can line up the cast the way I want to line up that cast, the presentation I want to make it. So if I'll give you the exact scenario where I would do is if I know if I'm on a swim bait bite and I know there's fish on this point and I know exactly where those bass are on that point, whether they're on the rock on that point, or they're in the brush pile on that point, or they're on the backside of the point that's on the main creek channel, wherever those bass are, if I know what depth they're at already, I know I can make about a 125-foot-ish cast with a big swim bait. With a Huddleston, because it's a little bit more aerodynamic for me than, say, a Bait Smith mag or a Hog Hunter, both of the same bait, different name. I make about 110-foot cast on that. So I know to set myself up to make that cast. So I cast over those fish and then bring it through, because I know I can confidently make that 110-foot cast when the wind is not blowing. And as soon as the wind starts blowing, I know I can make like a 90-foot cast. And that's as far as I can go, because the wind's blowing against me, and wind blowing, whichever wind direction, everything plays. But I know how far I can cast. So, fun fact with that, when I do fish a jig with live scope, I know I can make a 135-foot cast. So I leave my live scope out about 175 feet, and I will make that precise cast on that rock pile at 135-ish foot.
Wow.
So, yeah. Doesn't mean I get bit, though, but I do it plenty of times. So that's why that is.
Nice. Holy smokes, Joe.
Oh, damn.
We're not going to read it.
Not too, in the middle of Sean reading it.
Yeah, we're not going to read it. What? Yeah.
He spent some time on that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joseph.
Yeah. It means a lot that you typed out the entire comment, Joseph. But we're not going to read it. If you wanted to say it, you could have just hopped on with the link. But we're not going to read that comment, sir.
Thank you, Joseph. That up, though. Appreciate it.
Oh, dear. That being said, though, Joseph kind of cut into our presentation time at ISC. That was really funny. Because everybody knows that Joseph likes to go on long rants, and the topic was hot. He was talking about drop shotting. Everybody wanted to know more about drop shotting. So,
Nice.
he went a little bit over his time. It was a lot of fun. Besides that, anything else before we sign off here, gentlemen?
We can talk
Nope.
more. Got a business ahead of me. Probably won't be fishing.
Announcement for everybody that follows us. So we will be going to a show a week. We will be alternating between the After Dark show and also the regular community hole, where we will have a guest on to interview or to chat with, to talk about something. We're going this direction simply because we're not sure where we're going to go in the future. So until we really set our direction and our path straight,
cool.
we still want to kind of help guys out, but it's at a weird stage is the best way to say it. As in, we're not 100% sure on where we're going to head with it. So that's why we're going to go that route. So, prime example, This week we have the After Dark show. Next week we'll have the regular show where we have a guest on. And then the following week it'll be an After Dark show again. Unless everybody wants to have an After Dark show, then I can have the After Dark show, and I'll be here for everybody if everybody wants to have the After Dark every week. But let me know. Slide into my DMs. Tell me.
Right into your what?
Oh dear. Your age is catching up to you, Sean.
About a love connection. That's all I heard.
What are you guys predicting to win Folsom? Give us your prediction.
Prediction to win?
89.
89?
I'll go 87.
I'm thinking 95.
Hey.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
2 guys. Each guy catches a 20-incher. Pleadsville limit of 17s, the mid-90s. It's possible, Yeah, it's happened. Guys will catch a 20-incher, and that'll be big fish, or 19 3/4. So, in a team format, I feel right around that mid-90s is possible in a team format. So,
All right. 89 and a half.
all right. You can't change it now. Yeah, you can't change it now.
We'll let you know February 1st.
Yeah, we'll let everybody know soon.
It should be fun. I hope everybody gets signed up, gets their team squared away on the Tourney X website, and it's gonna be fun. It's a unique format. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
It'll be a learning curve for sure.
Oh yeah. That being said, I hope I hurt enough feelings tonight.
Of course.
And if you don't like me anymore and you block me on Facebook or any way, shape, or form, I'm not worried about it either. So,
Right on.
have a good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Later.